Hello everyone, we're Group 17 and this is how we created the model for our first coursework. We'll walk you through the process step by step, from building the base up to completing the final details.
Let's start with the first phase, which is creating the main body of the model. We begin by going to the top view and sketching a rectangle with dimensions of 40mm by 60mm. This rectangle serves as the foundation of the entire model, so it's important to get the proportions correct. After sketching the rectangle, we return to the original or isometric view and extrude it upwards by 30mm. This gives us a solid rectangular block that we'll modify in the next steps. Then, we go back to the top view and sketch a smaller rectangle at the bottom right corner of the main body. This smaller rectangle has dimensions of 10mm by 30mm.
Once the smaller rectangle is in place, we extrude it downward to remove the material from the main block. This creates a cut that adds detail to the shape and starts forming the base structure. After that, we apply a fillet to the edge that was indicated in the guide. Using a radius of 5mm, this smooths out the sharp edge and makes the model look more refined. At this point, the main body of the model is complete, and we're ready to move on to the next phase.
Now, we move on to the second phase, which focuses on the top portion of the model. The first feature we create here is the triangular ramp. To do this, we switch to the left side view. At the top right corner of the model, we draw a horizontal line that measures 25mm. From the endpoints of that line, we draw another line going upward with a length of 20mm. We then connect the endpoints of these lines to form a triangle. Once the triangle is complete, we go back to the original view and extrude it inwards by negative 25mm. This creates a slanted ramp-like feature on the model.
After forming the ramp, we refine it by selecting the bottom edge at the back of the triangle and applying a fillet with a radius of 10mm. This helps smooth the transition and improves the overall appearance of the ramp.
Next, we create the capsule shapes feature on the right side of the model. We start by going back to the top view and locating the midpoint along the right edge of the main body. From that point, we draw a short line measuring 15mm. This line serves as a reference for placing a circle. Using that midpoint, we sketch a circle with a diameter of 25mm. We then extrude this circle upward by 40mm to create a cylindrical shape extending from the body.
To make the top of the cylinder rounded, we select its top face and apply a fillet with a radius of 12mm. This transforms the flat top into a dome-like or spear-like shape. Next, we move to the right side view and use the construct feature to create an axis through the center of the cylinder. This axis helps us position the next feature accurately. At this point, where the axis, the cylinder, and the rounded top intersect, we draw a circle with a diameter of 10mm. Then, we extrude the circle through the object, creating a hole that passes all the way through the spherical top.
Now, we move on to the third phase, which focuses on the bottom portion of the model. This part involves creating the legs or supports. We begin with the first leg. At the filleted side of the main body, we sketch a horizontal line that measures 30mm. From the midpoint of the line, we draw another line going to the left with a length of 15mm. Then, from the bottom end of the 30mm line, we draw a shorter line going left that measures 10mm. Then, we connect these two lines to form a closed shape.
Once the shape is complete, we extrude it inward to remove the material, forming the first leg opening. This step defines the part of the support structure at the base.
For the second leg, we again use the midpoint of the original 30mm line. This time, we draw a 15mm line going to the right and connect it to form a triangular shape. Then, at the bottom right corner of the model, we draw a 12mm line going to the left. From the end of that line, we draw another line upward, measuring 15mm. We connect these lines to the triangle, forming another closed region.
We then extrude the region inward, creating the second leg opening. This mirrors the structure on the other side and helps balance the model.
For the third leg, we switch to the top left view and apply a fillet with a radius of 12mm of the selected edge. This further smooths the geometry and prepares the base for the final step. Finally, we go to the right side view and sketch rectangles at both bottom corners of the model. Each rectangle measures 13mm by 15mm. We connect the top edges of these rectangles to form a single shape. Then extrude the bottom portion by negative 12mm.
This completes the final cuts and finishes the model. At this point, all the features have been applied and the design is fully formed. To conclude, we check the model from different views to make sure all dimensions and features are correct and properly aligned. That is all for our Coursework 1 step.